we are, at this point, missing, remember, John, we usually get here at a minute or two, but we can reseat, well, actually, both alternates, if you want, one of you can stay there, one of you can come up. It's a workshop only, so it's whatever you'd like to do. Okay. We'll open the meeting and we'll ask for public comment. Each person will get 2 minutes. We will not debate, answer questions, or anything such as that, but we will listen to what you have to say. Yes, state your name and address for the record, please.
Name is John, last name is Poppit, spelled P-O-T-I-K. The address is 17 Sherry Drive. I'm here to ask the Board of Finance to turn down the police department budget due to the chief's restructuring plan. The chief's plan gives raises to individuals by way of job title changes to the ranks of deputy chief, inspector, and commander without a commensurate change of duties. For example, it is unusual to have a deputy chief with direct line authority over crossing guards and parking enforcement. Normally, support service operations is a job function of a lieutenant, not a deputy chief. Sergeants and patrol officers normally handle building and fleet maintenance issues, while commanders and inspectors are associated with large departments such as New York City and Chicago, and they command hundreds of officers in precincts and districts. Additionally, under Chief Metzler's plan, these new high-ranking positions come without a legitimate testing process, a probationary period, or a performance-based contract. Even more troubling is that the restructuring did nearly nothing to address the department's two major issues, which are the number of officers absent from police duties and overtime expense issues. The plan has shortcomings likely due to a complete town-wide needs-based assessment and a subsequent cost analysis, which should be the cornerstone of this. Taken as a whole, the Chief's plan fails to include the formulation of new programs or initiatives, of substance that enhance public safety or fiscal responsibility, which should be based on contemporary law enforcement principles such as intelligence-led policing. One of the Chief's primary concerns was sergeant shopping. While sergeant shopping is a problem in some departments, it is a minor disciplinary issue and should be handled as such by first-line supervision. Yet Chief Metzler found it necessary to restructure an entire department and create new ranks with substantial pay raises to reduce the problem. Additionally, Chief Metzler's solution to one problem could actually cause another problem where upward communication is severely filtered or non-existent due to perceived rank disparity. Chief Metzler claims the restructuring is cost-effective because it eliminates the positions of captain, lieutenant, and detective sergeant. The position of captain was zeroed out or already unfunded and already eliminated during fiscal year 13-14, and a mere portion was added and approved for a temporary acting lieutenant last year. The captain's salary line was again requested for the upcoming fiscal year 14-15, but has not been approved by your board or by our budget referendum. In reality, the plan simply converts the currently funded positions of lieutenant, detective sergeant, and 3 sergeants to the more costly positions of deputy chief, inspector, and 3 commanders, while also giving the 3 remaining sergeants a pay raise. This is not money well spent, as nothing has been done to augment supervision other than only title changes. Overall, the Chief's plan appears hastily ill-conceived with the primary concern of rewarding a select few with pay raises and potentially other costly benefits such as take-home vehicles. The Chief's plan will eventually cause wage compression and expansion at the highest rank. So instead of bolstering supervision, as the Chief says, the plan will bolster the payroll and a certain future retirement benefit, which perhaps is the true goal of this plan. Do I still have time?
You've got about a half a minute.
Okay. In 2011, I was selected for a rescheduling committee for the police department by First Selectman Roy. At that time, the police department had 10 officers per shift. That was their full staffing. The Chief's plan, I still see it the same. The Chief also, I'm just throwing these out there, based his plan when he presented it to the Board of Police Commissioners. He said that we were going to be in line with other area departments, one of which department was listed as Cheshire. This was on the 10th of February. Yesterday, or Monday rather, Cheshire announced that they were restructuring because they're top-heavy. So that we actually restructure based on a top-heavy police department. And one last thing, Ansonia Police Department has 3,000 more population, 3 times greater population density than Seymour, and likely a higher call volume. And they run with 2 lieutenants and sergeants. no deputy chief, no commanders, no inspectors, none of those high-ranking positions. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Fred?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Finance.
For the record, please.
Yes.
Name and address.
Name and address.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Sorry about that.
For the record, my name is Fred Stanek, S-T-A-N-E-K. I reside at 22 North Benham Road, Seymour. And I am also chairman of, or vice chairman of the Board of Education, and I stand before you this evening in that capacity on behalf of the Board of Education. The Board of Education would like to speak in favor of the Police Commissioner's request for a $68,800 line item for assignment of a police officer to the school district. The Board of Education feels that such an assignment is integral to the education of our children because we need to keep our children and our staff secure, as well as members of the public who visit our school and who participate in activities in our school district to be safe. Our community and the Board of Police Commissioners and the Police Department took the proactive position following the unfortunate tragedy in Newtown in December 2013 to 2012, to assign a police officer to the school district. By the end of that school year, that officer was eliminated because of workers' comp situations with the police department. We've been before the Police Commission, have had many discussions with the Police Commission, and the Police Commission is interested in assigning an officer again to the school district, and I understand there have been interviews to hire or to transfer a police officer into that position. However, we like the idea, and we want to see that there is a line item for or dedicated to that officer position, so that officer position will be funded and reserved for the school district for future years. We hope that we never have a tragedy such as the Newtown situation, but beyond these national events that occur or situations that occur that we hear in the news almost monthly now in our school districts across the country, there are everyday incidents that occur, not as serious, but that need the attention of the police department. And we want a police officer assigned, dedicated to our schools. Some people have said to me, well, why doesn't the school district simply hire a security guard or security guards? The Board of Education does not want to take on that job of supervising security personnel. We want to see a dedicated, highly qualified Seymour police officer assigned to our schools. And we do not want to be in the business of supervising, training, or otherwise being in charge of a police officer or a security guard who might be carrying a weapon. That is the job of the police department and the experts who run the police department. And so we ask that you support the request of the police department, and we support that request for a $68,800 line item for a police officer to be assigned to the schools. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Fred. Anyone else like to speak? Public comment going once. Public comment going twice. You're out of, oh, I'm sorry, didn't look to my right.
Frank Loda, 27 Osprey Drive. Former chairman of the police department many years ago. I would strongly suggest that you not approve the plan, the reorganizational plan that the police department has recommended. It doesn't do what it says it's going to do. One of the things that they're talking about is eliminating the captain's position and the lieutenant's position. They're not eliminated. They're still there. They're just not funded. I'll give you an example of what could happen. If the budget during the course of the year, they find that someone is out on workers' compensation and some additional monies come along, they'd be in a position where they could then reinstate the funding for the captain or the lieutenant because they'd have money available and they'd be coming to your department to get them to transfer or allow that money to go into that particular area. So it's really could create quite a problem for you. I would say that hopefully you will do something to eliminate the possibility that they could do that type of thing, or maybe get an agreement if you are going to approve the reorganization. Get an agreement with the chief or the department head, the Board of Police Commissioners chairman, to make certain that that doesn't happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Loda. Anyone else? I'll make sure I look around the entire room this time. Public comment going once, twice. We are out of public comment. The first department we have up is elderly services, I guess. Lucy?
I believe you all have copies of my budget.
Just one second. Would it be easier if you sit here?
Please tell me yes.
No, would it be easier if you just sit here to present? Do you want to sit here to present? I'll move for you.
You should have said yes, Lucy, you should have said yes.
No, I'm good. You all have a copy of the budget. We put this together, actually, two members of the Aging Commission, as well as myself, worked on the budget. So, the chair and another individual and myself. You'll notice that there's some line items that have been increased. And the reasons that they have been increased is that basically the postage, which was $1,500, we increased it to $25. You notice that we're almost through that budget. We are now mailing out bulletins to the membership that, rather than having them pick them up at the center. And as a result, the postage has decreased as a result of that. So that particular line item is just really just for the postage for the bulletins. So that's what that is. We've increased two things here. A copy of all was there. The line items for salaries, there is no increase in those line items because contracts have not been negotiated. And two of the items of part-time, that's up to the first selectman to do the increase on that because they're non-union positions, okay? You may be looking at the Public Works, the gasoline. It looks very low. The reason that it is there were some problems with when you go down to get the gas card was not actually giving you an account of what they were actually getting, and as a result, for a couple of months, it did not show any gasoline, but we have addressed that, and I believe it's being taken care of. As you can see, most of it's very, very small. If you have any questions, there's just a couple of line items that we have increased, particularly in programs. We're trying to increase some of the programs. To date, we have been very fortunate that a lot of the programs, we've had volunteer people coming in and doing the Zumba and some of the other programs, but it's getting to a point where people are asking for more programs, and it's time that we start paying for some of the programs that we're, to have the instructors coming in and so forth. So all in all, if you have any questions, it's not a large increase. It's an increase of $2,750 overall.
Right.
Anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Lucy? Ed? Heather? Dave?
Not that I'm against increasing the postage line item, but do you do any communication at all via email blasts or any electronic communication on notices? I mean, what I'm seeing is more of the elders more into the computers than the youngers.
Let me tell you something, that does not work. When we have actually done the membership list and so forth, we've asked for their emails. And I think out of the full membership, if we have 10 to 15 emails, that's it. These people just aren't into it. They're not, into emails right now. And we found that the bulletin really works better for email.
On the other end of the table. Questions? No? John? Deb?
I see you changing your activities line item. Are you reducing some activities and putting them into
What is happening with activities, that's a wash, because the activities are activities that you have, and then you pay for it, and under the income, that's a wash line item.
Okay, so that's gonna be reduced by 2,500?
Yeah, so that's a wash.
Thank
Now,
you.
do you have any questions? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up's the police department. And we'll do Chief Metzler. You're still not going to let me
Thank you. What you have is the budget change based on the restructuring and the projections for the income. Anybody else have the income over the past already? There's a couple of them. We did last sheet. No, you don't have it. What do you have? Last page.
No, I don't.
You have the last page?
The floor is yours.
Okay. The Board of Police Commissioners voted to approve a budget of $4,277,485 back in the beginning of January. Of that, we did a restructuring because the first selectman was adamant we had to cut this thing back because it was such a jump because we had hired people and the money had been feathered into last year's hires. So based on that, we made some cuts and made some restructuring issues. And the first line, there was no change at all in the first line. There was no change in the second line except for the title. In the third line, which is lieutenant salary, that was zeroed out. In the fourth line, at the recommendation of the first selectman, we went back to the original because they are in negotiations at this time. For the school resource officer, that was changed to $68,132 based on a 2% increase. The let's see, okay. Union secretary clerk, like I said, was brought back down to $80,060 because of that. The union wages went down to $256,5333 because we're going to be hiring new people coming in, and they'll be feathered in at that because of the recent resignation. Supernumerary wages, we cut it back to $11,000. Crossing guards was $48,432, stayed the same. Board of Police Commissioners, we went up $500 on that line. Overtime, we originally requested $200, we cut that back to $175. The longevity overtime, the longevity pay was based on the 2% raise, went down to $50,795. The survivors' benefits went down to $7,915 from the original of $8,422. Then we cut town medical services based on the fact that we're only going to be hiring 1 or 2 people. The training went up because we cut back on the bodies at the other end. So the training went up to $259,728 based on the $600 a week we pay for recruits. Let's see, repairs and maintenance, that went to $54. We're responsible at this point for all the cameras in town, and that's part of our maintenance bill. The Other purchase services, we had 79,240 in there originally. That went to 71,240. As the first selectman said, that some of the computer issues that I had in there were taken out and put into another place in the town budget. Other insurance stayed the same. Communications went to 73. Again, we have to replace the cameras and stuff for the entire town. We're responsible for the parks, the ones down Public Works, and I guess they're going to be putting more up on town buildings. The car allowance, we dropped it down $200 to $800. General supplies, we went up to $34,000. The canine supplies, we went up $500. We're still fortunate that we don't pay for the medical for the dog because that's been donated, but we still have to pay for food and the new equipment. Clothing is $49,775. I put it at $47. I took $2,000 out because I believe that the recruits are not going to be eligible for it till after December. So for the first 6 months, they will not get clothing. Electricity, I was working with Tony on that, and I put $68,000. I had originally requested $70,000. The heating oil, I had to 26 based on the current prices. The gas and oil went to 82. We had it at 85, but he felt that the prices were going to be stabilized to some extent. Machinery and equipment, it was 44,000. We cut it to 40. And on the cars, if it was a recommendation of the first selectman to take 2 cars out, and hopefully if we have money left over this year to purchase them out of this year's budget. So we only went with 1 vehicle in next year's budget. The grand total was $3,990,245. It's a drop of $287,240 from the original budget passed by the Board of Police Commissioners in January. Let's see what else we got. On the income, we are expecting to go up a little bit on different areas. One of them is the pistol permits. They've been going up quite frequently. We're going crazy with those things. So we went up a little bit on there. We went up on administrative fees to $36,000. We stayed even with the 30 on bazaars. Ordinances, they haven't been issued, so we went down to $891. Parking fines, we went up to $5,500. Pistol permits, we went up to $6,200. Reports, we went down to $1,800. We have never been over 2,000 in reports since we've been here, so we cut that back. And sticker fees was right on the money this year for $3,000. So we're looking to project $53,421 on income coming in for a $1,421 increase. There's been questions about overtime. It's constantly brought up. Last year at this time, we had $217,271 in our budget. We had spent $182,000 on overtime to that point. At this date, at the same time, it's $153,000. So we're ahead of the game on the overtime issues. Do you have any questions?
I'll start at the end, Ed.
Mike, in regards to the supers, how are we working with them? Are we getting the hours?
We've got one that's working pretty steadily, and we have another one that works periodically. But he brings a lot of other issues to the table. He does training and stuff of that nature for us, so that's how we take care of that. But one's very good and one's so-so.
Okay.
At 7:45, that should be cars. They're both maintenance. But I know that's tedious, but just want to make sure I got that right.
745 is the vehicles, it's also the tires, and it's also first aid equipment.
Not right now.
The restructuring of your department, when you said that you were going to save money on the salaries, does that include post-contract or pre-contract, or is there going to be a change in the figures from that? Are there any contractual?
No, there's no changes on anything at this point. The deputy chief will have to negotiate a contract. That's his responsibility with the town when that's decided. But right now, the money that was put into the budget in January for those 2 spots hasn't changed at all, despite what people have been saying. Those numbers are the same numbers that were back in January. The difference was $70,000 that came out of the lieutenant's salary, and that was augmented into the commanders and the sergeants. But then again, these are all negotiable items, and that 2% is only an estimate at this point, because that's what I was told to utilize. It could be less, it could be more, I don't know. But at this point right now, it's all in negotiations, as far as those positions go.
Are you done now? Okay.
And your school resource officer, he had quoted 68,880, and you have it down as 68,132. Is it 68,132?
It's 68,132. Mr. Pop was correct, it was 68,8. That was based on the 3%,
Okay.
which was I was told to use immediately, and then when I was told to come back and cut it back, I used the 2% that I was requested to use.
Now, is this going to be a new hire?
No, that's an officer in the department.
Okay. Thank you.
We're locked off at 41 in the way the Board of Police Commissioners has established it.
Anyone else?
And for Mr. Stanik's here, very shortly our other officer will be coming out of the academy and out of the FTO program, and we'll be initiating the community, the SRO officer at the school probably within another month, and we'll be ready to go. So it'll be set in place for now, and then we'll be rolling right over into September.
Chief, on the overtime?
Yes.
You started at 2, you're down to 175 in the new one. Realistic estimate?
This year? Last year it was 280 because of the, I don't want to get into political
Well,
issues.
whatever.
We had lost a lot of people and weren't allowed to redo it. Now we're bringing them back, and you can see the overtime's starting to go back down. Hopefully if we get all these people in place, we should be well below what we were last year. And just for general knowledge, we are probably 1/2 of the overtime anywhere else in the valley. Not even close.
I know that.
Yeah. The other issue is my budget's $3,990,000. The next town down, which is the exact same size, the exact same number of offices, maybe one difference, is 5.5 million.
Question, I can't think of what it was. So you got provided for one car?
I provided for one car in this budget based on the conversations I had with the first selectman.
Leaving you some flex for this year?
Well, that's what we're hoping for. We'll have some left to be able to buy one out of this year, too, this year.
So you're looking at 2?
Looking for 2 this year and 1 for next year's budget.
So you got 1, you want to get 1 more? Or are you going to get 2?
We're gonna get 2 from this year. if
2
we
by
can.
June.
If we
If
can
we
by
can.
June. If we can't, we can only get 1, we get 1.
Okay. Is that, if you can only get 1, does that push the other one you would have gotten into next year?
No, we'll stay with the 1 for next year's budget, and we'll live with what we have this year. If we can only get 1 this year, we'll get 1. If we can get 2, we'll get 2. We have 3 vehicles that are ready to be put out to pasture, but, you know.
Your IT is done in-house?
It's done in-house for most part, but according to the first selectman, that's being addressed.
That's through the technology
Right.
committee?
I'm gonna end up having an individual as a part-time IT type of situation,
Okay.
but the recommendation coming from the town is that basically they're gonna have their own IT group, and they're gonna be responsible for most of the stuff. So the only thing my guy will be doing will be in-house stuff that's specific to our working operations.
Okay. My other question goes back to the SRO. Just curious, have you had any discussion with the Board of Ed about the Board of Ed picking up the benefit cost of the guy or something? I don't want to say cost sharing,
Yeah.
because that would lead to a 50-50 split, but something on the Board of Ed side to help out? I guess maybe that's the...
I have not heard anything at this point.
Okay. All right. Excuse me, Alan, did you have any questions? I was going on, I didn't mean to slight you.
How long did we have the officer up at the school? Was it since Sandy Hook to last year?
The last one went from January to June. Correct.
From January to June?
Correct.
No, you can keep going if you have any other question.
I heard that it went rather well, with the exception that of the funding, right?
Correct. We had interviews in December. We included the superintendent of schools, and we made a selection, and that individual has already been sent to some schools, you got other schools to go to, but as soon as the opening comes up with manpower gets into place, she's going to be put up at the school.
Okay. Anything else, Al? Dave?
One quick question. The other purchase services on maintenance, the jump from 52 to 71, which you said you brought down from 79, what was that jump caused by again? You covered it earlier and I missed it, I didn't make a note.
Well, the 79 was, I had, let me get it, 500. I had the 25,000 into computer maintenance and software. And First Selectman said that they were going to be taking some of that stuff up in the technology committee, whatever they're doing with this, and to just cut it back from there, that they were going to be addressing technology issues on a town-wide basis where, instead of an individual department.
Okay, but it's still 20,000 more than previous year budget request. I just wondering where that 20,000 was going, or what it's for. You were 52, 747, 13, 14.
Right. Well, some of these things went up, like MJ Daily went up, Home went up. Some of these places went up 5%. MJ Daily had not, and they were very nice about it, they had not charged us in the past for anything, as far as raises. And they came back in January and said, oh, by the way, we forgot to charge you for the last 4 years, the 5%. I said, well, we're not going back 5 years. It's not going to happen. So they said, well, we'll do it this way, and then they turned around and said, we'll add it on a little bit next year, but we won't charge you for 4 years. On top of that, our APHIS, we never paid for that. That was all part of the initial put-in. And now we had to pay that. That's $37.30 was added on. So those are things that came in after the fact from last year. We were getting it for free, or it was part of the process of being hiring, but it isn't that anymore, and you have to pay for it.
Okay. Anyone else on the board? Anyone?
Mike, in regards to tires, in regards to the tires,
Right.
that's a bit like a standard 145 for past years. Do we hit that number, or do you need more?
That's a pretty solid number for us. They usually go to 2 sets a year, somewhere in that area, depending on how many we're doing. Did you want to discuss the 5-year, or do you want to wait on that? The capital plan?
Capital comes under yours.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, unless you guys are interested in hearing
Well,
the Board of Commissioners' thoughts on it.
well, it doesn't, at this point, we're going to focus on the regular operations.
No problem.
Now,
One question, union contract,
Yes.
are you in first year, or you in the third year?
This is it. They're going to be opening negotiations very shortly.
When you say shortly?
That's not me, that's the town and the union. Their contract ends June 30th.
anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.